What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And our guest joining us today, friend of the show, multi-time guest, Austin from Pro Wrestling Central. What's up, man? How's it going?
What's up, fellas? How we doing? Glad to be back on one of my favorite shows. Third time's a charm. So I'm looking to debate you guys and try to sway some opinions today, even though it's going to be the reverse, like Tom. So, yeah,
dude, you've been killing it on Pro Wrestling Central, man. Anytime there's a show on like Raw or Dynamite, and I'm seeing your tweets come through, great content, guys. If you're not following Pro Wrestling Central on Twitter, you're missing out because it keeps you up to date on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I brought my buddy in. Shout out to Jordan. He's a big meme guy, so he comes in and just is always tweeting funny shit. So he came down for Mania this past weekend, and we had a good time, had some drinks, and he does a good job. I'm more of like the guest praiser, and he's more of the jokester kind of guy. So together, it's a good tandem and duo. So yeah.
I wish I just followed your Twitter on Monday night and didn't watch Raw. It would have been 3 hours saved in my life.
Yeah, we tweet a lot. So good stuff, though.
Awesome, man. Well, it's good to have you back on. We always enjoy you coming on. It's always a fun time. And we got 3 new topics to debate. So if you guys are ready, you guys want to get right into it?
Do it.
All right, let's go. First topic of the evening. Should Cody have won at WrestleMania? This is a big controversial topic. There's a lot of people saying a lot of stuff about it.
I have no problem with Roman going over and extending his streak to 1,000 days and letting Cody build it up some more. I mean, I know a lot of people are crying, and sure, it would have been a feel-good moment. It's just a deeper story now. I've got no issues.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening, cheap plug here for Wrestling Tonight. I was listening to Chad's sentiment on it. At first, I was pissed. I'm not going to lie. Like, we had 2 of my friends over in the basement, just went quiet after he lost. Because the ending, the match was so good, but the ending was so, I think, cheap with Solo hitting the Samoan spike. But I think I'm fine with it now after letting it settle a little bit. Just imagine if you hold it out. And I was originally under the impression thinking, like, wait till SummerSlam. But if you hold it out and truly wait until WrestleMania 40, you see the WWE opening, like, with the woo and John Cena, all that stuff. That is the type of moment at the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania that Roman finally gets slayed by Cody. That's something that is like Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant, like Stone Cold's glass breaking. Like, that's something that can be put on that signature. So I'm all for it. And I think if they keep consistently booking the bloodline well, I mean, I don't see why it's an issue. I just think it makes for a huge moment at 40. So
I'm with you on. I'm with you if they can drag it to 40. It could be a monster moment. I mean, you think back to 30. 30 was when Danielson had his big moment. It's typically those 10, 20, 30. They always have something big. Wasn't 20 when Eddie and Benoit, the confetti?
Yes.
So there's those big moments. Obviously, the Shawn Razor ladder match at 10. But it could fit that. And, on Wrestling Tonight, I talked about how when it first happened, Sneed can attest to this. When it first happened, me and Sneed were both quiet. We weren't saying a whole lot, and I was pissed. And then I sat on it, and I thought, this could be cool, man. If they build it up, this is the story for Cody. And then I thought about it a little more, and I'm nervous because this isn't dirt sheet shit. All wrestling journalists right now are reporting Vince McMahon is back. He has a heavy hand in things. And this isn't just all some idiots online. These are, and it's not just one dirt sheet. Everyone is reporting this. And when I see everyone reporting it, there's some truth in it.
Yeah.
So that worries me. Like, if they do it and they do it right, the big thing is if. Like, if they can get to 40 and do it right, it would be monumental. But now with this shakeup, we don't know. And we're going to get into the cell on topic number 3, but we don't know where this company is going to go as far as releases, infrastructure, hires, and fires. I'm honestly kind of worried, and my worry is making me say Cody should have won, because regardless if he won or didn't, you're going to have to hit it out of the park to make the moment at 40 bigger than what the moment would have been at 39. The moment was there, and I worry, can they get him to an even bigger moment? You know, it's almost like that moment for him to win the title. I worry that it peaked and we're never going to get to that peak again. And to be able to get to that peak again or transcend that peak again, you have to book it expertly. And now with this cell and Vince back in the game, I'm kind of worried about it.
I get it. I mean, do you see the reports today? Bleacher reporters reporting people in WWE are now asking for their releases. Major top stars asked for their release. They didn't say who. So, like, who knows what's going on over there? It might not be a very fun place to be. It's not going to be the better product we've seen if there were really rewrites all day yesterday, well into the show. As well, like you said, many sites are reporting it. It's not just one, which makes me think, okay, this is true. Nobody's avoiding it. Everybody's saying the same thing, which is nuts. Now, we know Cody's in good with Vince. He booked him well before he left. So we know it's not Cody I don't think it's Cody who's asking for his release. So I don't know who it could be, but man, I was excited when Cody started hitting him with those what the heck was the movie? Went for the 3 when Solo interfered and hit him with
Crossroads.
The Crossroads. Yeah, he was going for the 3. I was like, this is it. I was pumped. And then like a minute later, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I love the swerve because we haven't seen fans get so emotionally upset over something.
That was perfect. That was great.
That was great. So I love that there were so many people invested. I just hope they don't mess it up. Like,
my only pushback to what you just said, Tom, as far as like Vince, that's what people are forgetting. Everyone's up in arms because Vince is back in some regards. But you're right. Vince was the guy who brought Cody in. Vince was treating him right. I mean, I'm not so much worried about Vince taking his foot off the gas with Cody. I'm worried about Vince fucking up all the moving parts around Cody and the way to get there. I think they do want Cody to get it eventually. It's just, I'm worried now. Like Triple H, I feel like he took the reins and he was handling it even better. I mean, the bloodline thing got even better when Vince left. Like everything improved. Now I'm worrying about like, okay, what's this Brock thing going to do? He could fuck up the moving parts of this story. That's what I'm more concerned with, more than him just like burying Cody or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So Cody should have won at Mania. And after, like, I've been on and off the fence about this many times after thinking, you know, when it happened, obviously, Chad, you and I were pissed. You could feel, I mean, for the air was sucked out of the room for everybody. And, you know, thinking about it, then I thought, well, you know, they could, you know, if they build Cody and, you know, make it a bigger moment for 40 after he, you know, had been gone for a while, and maybe the moment can be bigger if they build it for 40 and they can drag it for another year. But now I think, I don't care what anybody says, I think this cell, which we'll get into, affected the outcome of this match.
They're coming out and saying it didn't have shit to do with it, but I don't know.
Bullshit. I call bullshit on that because the writing was on the wall for this to be Cody's moment. And the fact that Roman went over, tells me that Vince had everything to do with that because Cody, I think the plan was in place the whole time for Cody to win it right there. And it worries me now that, how the hell are they going to make this a big moment for a year? Because we know how much Vince likes Roman. Vince also likes Cody. But in my opinion, to make it work for 40, Roman has to not be as much in the spotlight and Cody has to be elevated.
Well, yeah. And what you just said about Cody being, lost my train of thought. Somebody take it. Lost my train of thought.
Go ahead, Tom.
I get it. I totally understand Sneed's point because they had the moment there. That stadium was popping when he was going for those crossroads. It would have been a moment. You had his wife, the baby, young Brody sitting in the front row. Like, what a moment it would have been. And there's no guarantee you're going to be able to recapture that. So I can understand the argument for why he should have won. But
yeah.
Can they make it as big of a moment a year from now, though?
Well, that's the thing I was going to say is like can you lean on this Dusty story now? Like you pulled on our heartstrings with this Dusty stuff and you came up short. Can you still milk that for a year?
Yeah, I mean, you can see Cody won in his rematch and Roman saying, listen, we told you weren't the one. Your dad even said it. So get out of here. You're not getting another shot.
Yeah, but a year, dude. It's a year. You can't just keep beating the Dusty drum for a year. Like
you got Brock as to derail him a little bit to get him involved with that story before he goes back to Roman. It's who else is there to put him with before he gets back to that story that lasts a year though? How do you get it to last a full year?
It all depends on what the bloodline looks like, I guess. It's still Jimmy and Jay, like Salt. Because realistically, if you look at it, you could like long-term book it, and I think I'm basing mine off of the shock factor of holy shit, Roman finally loses. Because if you book it till Mania 40, that's 1,300 plus day reign, which is absolutely in today's when WWE just 2-3 years ago was a hot potato with their belts. That is crazy. The only thing I think that holds them up is they're both unified belts. So
yeah,
there's no other. But the nice thing is, I think that's truly elevated the mid-card titles.
Yeah.
Tremendously. Like Gunther, like he talked about on the bump today, like how he wants to, like, he's not looking at the record, but I mean, that's something. The Intercontinental title was a joke. Like,
yeah,
like before Trips took over, it was a complete joke. So I think the biggest thing is the shock factor behind. I think it'll make a moment because it's like, holy shit, like Roman was on top for over 1,300 days if they even choose to go this route. Because they could pull the trigger at SummerSlam. That's another stadium show. And
I was gonna say that. I'm sorry, man.
Big, though.
You pull the trigger at SummerSlam, you screwed the pooch, and he should have won a Mania. You can't crown this kid at SummerSlam. This is a Mania moment. You've built towards Mania, and like you said, Austin, if you get to Mania, and this dude's on a 1,300 day reign, that's awesome. I think I love long reigns. I think they've been a genius with long reigns too, because we've always kind of shit on them from going away from the superstar eras of like the Austins, the Rocks, the Cenas, these larger than life characters that transcend the company itself. The only way to build stars to that level, I think, is to have these long, dominant reigns. That's how you do it.
Dude, I love it because you're sitting there wondering who is going to be the person that actually beats him. So when it actually happens, it's a moment.
And you're going to remember it. Like, there are so many title changes in WWE that it's like, I couldn't even tell you who Big E beat. I couldn't even, like, there's so many title changes, like, when it was the hot potato era, that, like, this you will never forget, ever, because of the days behind it. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'd almost would rather see them, if they were to do it sooner, I'd rather see them do it at Money in the Bank, because London is, those fans are absolutely rabid. So I think
they are.
That would be something, but I don't know with this.
Anything but Mania 40 to me is a mistake.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
and anybody but Cody taking it almost seems like a mistake too.
That's what I was going to say. Is there a world where they don't let Cody win? Is there a world where someone else takes these titles? Can you imagine a world where that happens?
I can't see
Ooh.
There's
it.
nobody in house that it makes sense.
That's been built up at this point. It just doesn't make any sense.
Everybody's saying Jay or Seth. I think both of those is a step down.
I mean, Seth, Jay, hell no. Jay is not world champion material. There's no way.
I get the story.
I
He's
think
in the
eventually,
story, but it's not. I just don't think he's the guy to dethrone. You need a new. You need to coronate a new guy. If you just throw it on Seth Rollins or even Jey Uso, I feel like I don't know. I don't think Jey Uso. A lot of fans, some fans look at him as a main event caliber guy. I don't see him as the guy to fill Roman's shoes. To be on Jimmy Fallon and all of these shows. He's the face of your company. I just don't see Jey Uso as that guy.
I don't. And you think you go add the stipulation into the next year's Mania, no outside interference. If they interfere, you automatically forfeit the title. Make it a fun thing like that where it has to be straight up wrestling. I think that makes, and then people like Roman gets a little worried. I think that'll make a fun story if they do it that way. But I guess Cody has to win the Rumble again next year too, as well. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thinking about that. That's
I didn't even think about that.
That is a wild card.
And I think if they split the titles up,
it's not the same.
It ruins it, man. You cannot split these titles at this point. You can't. You've kept them on.
Whoever wins this title has to win
both of them.
Yeah.
If you split it up, I don't think it ruins the guy who wins the title from Roman. I don't say it ruins. It tarnishes this run. It fucks the ending up for Roman. If you have him lose one title, then lose another title, it should be winner take all. That's how those titles leave him, both at the same time.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts on this before we move on to the next topic?
It'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
I'm excited. I'm worried if pencil mustache Vince is in charge. I think all bets are off, man.
Austin Theory's going to take it if Vince is in charge.
We're in trouble. I think we're in trouble.
There are dark days ahead.
It reminds me of the Ralph clip from The Simpsons. I'm in danger. Exactly what it reminds me of.
Yeah, it does.
All right, guys, we'll move on to the next topic of the evening. Is it time for AEW to start doing yearly stadium shows? Now, Austin, this was your topic, so I'll defer to you to go first.
So I am a big mark for stadium shows. Like, one of my favorite things is every Mania season is like looking at the stage setup. Like I check Twitter daily or any other news site daily. So I'm a huge mark for a stadium show. Now AEW is still at a time where they're growing that fan base, but you also got to think, who owns AEW? You have the Cons. And what do the Cons own? They own the Jaguar Stadium. And that's become the hub for AEW. So, one, you got to look at it from a cost perspective. They're not going to have to rent the stadium. They're not going to have to pay for that, I would imagine. But, again, who knows? And two, I think, depending on how you time it out, if you avoid any other major stadium show from WWE, I think it would be a success. AEW fans have proven that they're pretty diehard, and not saying that it has to compete numbers-wise with WWE and what they did, because they made, like, this past weekend, like, over 50, 60 million. So they killed it. But I think to start the next step as AEW, because you look at Forbidden Door, they sold out a 20,000 seat arena in Toronto, and that's saying something in minutes, like less than 10 minutes almost, or a lot of the seats were gone. I remember looking at it that day. So I think it's it's like that next step for AEW. I don't think obviously it's going to be something that's this year, but you could, I feel like, do some sort of like Forbidden Door event. And the nice thing is, Jacksonville, pretty much year round, you're probably gonna have some pretty good weather to do that. So I think, thinking of it from the next step perspective, I don't want them to be WWE, but I'm a huge mark personally for the stadium show. So I think it's something that I think it would be at least a huge hit out the gate. And they are willing to work with other companies, so they can make stupid cards for these events that pull in international crowds as well. So I think it's a good idea. And like I said, I'm a huge mark for those stadium shows, so that's probably just me being a little biased. But yeah, I'm all for them doing just a yearly stadium show. I think it'd be very cool.
My favorite thing AEW does right now that's set up is the Grand Slam stage. That show looks amazing every year when they go to the Queens and they're there. Like, I would love it. And I think the answer for them, go to Wrigley Field in Chicago. It's not a huge stadium. It's still a stadium. It's a spectacle to go into Wrigley to run a yearly wrestling show there. And I love it when you're wrestling outdoors at night. I hated Mania being in California this year because most of the show was in the daylight.
Yeah.
Like, it gets that better special feel when it gets to night. Entrances are better. Like, a lot of the Finn Balor's entrance was lost on the daylights, and Edge's entrance would have been better in the dark. So yes, give us a stadium show. Put it in Wrigley. I think what is Wrigley, like 35,000 people? I think they would sell that out in Chicago. Chicago is wrestling city there. So
that is a good point.
So this question, time for AEW to start. When you say, is it time? What's the parameter? Are we talking like now?
I'd say like starting next year, I guess, because they pretty much lay out their pay-per-view schedule. I think maybe next year or very in the near future. So
two things for me on this. One, I don't think their first big stadium show should be a cross-promotional show. Like, even though it brings more eyes, I feel like if you're, not to say if Forbidden Door went into a stadium, I mean, obviously it'd be awesome, but I just feel like when you're breaking into that and you're trying to plant your flag of this is our big stadium show, I want to see AEW I want to see them plant their flag for their brand, not sharing it. That way someone else, so the critics can't come in and be like, yeah, you wouldn't have done that though if you didn't have New Japan and Impact wrestlers coming on, cross promote. Like, I want it to be like they did it with their brand, with their name. Secondly, the Khans do own Jaguar Stadium. And I'm not saying WWE always needs this, but the thing with WrestleMania weekends and like SummerSlam weekends, specifically WrestleMania, though, when I talk about this, is like when they do Mania and they're doing 160,000 over 2 nights, it's in a city typically where it's a tourist city. Like, there's other things to do. So people, not to mention the fact that all of these indies like GCW, Impact, and New Japan do a joint show. All of these other promotions and independent promotions funnel into this city, and it becomes like a vacation destination for wrestling fans where there's stuff to do. There's the all access stuff. There's things to do. Are people going to pour into Jacksonville, Florida? You know what I mean? Like, what else is there to do there? It would almost be like you couldn't just do Dynamite Wednesday, Rampage Friday, and then the show on Saturday or Sunday. You would have to have other promotions piggyback off of you and come into this market where it becomes especially in Jacksonville, man. I mean, when you're in Los Angeles, there's a lot of stuff to do. New York, even Philly's kind of a touristy town. When they do Vegas, that obviously Vegas is a tourist trap, but like, I don't know, man. I want them to do stadium shows bad. I think they're close because like you said, Austin, when they do these big shows, they instantly sell out. I mean, it's pretty quick. The big ones sell out. So I think they're close to being able to pull off something big if they really built it up special, but I also don't want them to rush. This is one of those things like, take your time. I don't want them to dive into this too early, and then they're in a spot right now where if you do something like this and it comes off bad or it looks bad or you don't sell out, it could hurt the company at this stage, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they need to do a yearly stadium show yet. I can definitely see it in the future. I think Arthur Ashe right now is about as big as they should go. I don't personally, for me, I'm not a fan of stadium shows. I look at it from a perspective of going to the show, and I get it's more of it's big, it's a spectacle, and I think WWE is good for a spectacle event. AEW, I don't want to see them do a stadium show because I don't think their style of wrestling translates to a stadium show. I think that their style is something more that needs to be contained in a big
You
arena.
want that energy packed in. Like, I feel like you lose some of the energy on these big shows. Like, even though the crowd was lit for 39 this past weekend, like, there still is a disconnect to me. Like, and I just imagine being that fan on the upper bowl, sitting there and you're looking at these two little specks. And I get like you're in the environment, you're there, but I've always been a fan of basketball arenas or lower for my wrestling shows. Like,
Yeah.
I think them doing United Center is huge for AEW right now. But like, I don't know, man. I'm like you, Sneed. I kind of look at it from attending the event. If you were to tell me, like, here's some Wrestlemania tickets, and here's some tickets to Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, or even a WWE show that's in a basketball arena, I will take the basketball arena show.
Yeah.
I just think there's more energy. Unless I'm in the first two rows of Mania, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I just don't.
It's just we were watching Mania. Like I think I even brought it up. Like the people that's on the side, like way back beside the entrance. Like, man, you're missing a lot.
And I'm totally with Austin though. I love the stage and how big it is, but I think the only way to fully appreciate that stage setup and the lights and everything's from watching it on Peacock. Like you said, Sneed, if you're the guy sitting at the beginning of the ramp and the ramp's right up next to you, you ain't seeing shit. You've got shitty view. I'm putting myself in those fans' places, and it can be miserable at those shows sometimes.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're sitting.
I want to be the guy sitting all the way at the back of the ramp. Holy smokes, with how high that ramp was, you ain't seeing anything. And how much you spending for the seats. Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
You're going to spend the whole show staring up at the big, Titantrons, like watching the show. I'm like, I'm not forking out $700, $800, $900 to watch it on a TV inside of a stadium.
And that arena we sat in when I came down to watch Dynamite with you guys last year, that was a 4,000 seat arena, about right? 4,000 or 5,000?
No, it's about 9.
It was awesome for that show. Like, I love that because the crowd, like Chad said, it's so intimate, the crowd. It's so you just feed off of each other when you're in a thing like that. But like a stadium show every so often is fun and different. Like, I don't mind it once in a, if it's once a year.
Like what is the Now Arena, Sneed? Is it like in Chicago? 12,000, I think.
12 to 15,000, I believe.
Man, and when they had that packed out for All Out,
oh, dude, it was crazy. Well,
it was energy, and it was the sounds bouncing off the roof. I mean, it felt like.
Well, that's funny you bring that up because when I was thinking about this question, that was the event that I kind of based it on, was going to All Out, and I was thinking the match specifically that I was thinking about was the Bucks and Lucha Brothers.
Oh, God.
And I don't think that style of that match would not have translated into a stadium show.
Yeah.
That's 11,000 people for the Now Arena.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Like, I think a Bucks Lucha Brothers cage match in a stadium would, if you're there, it's going to be awesome. But I just feel like the one thing I hate about stadium shows is how they're open and the sound just kind of goes up into the ether and you never get a full sense of the true energy of the place. Like, but if you're there, those fans, you were feeling the energy. Like, you can tell there's energy there. It just doesn't translate to the TV experience as much.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I think there are pros and cons from a fan perspective, and that's something I've been itching. That's one thing on my bucket list. I want to go. I feel like my opinion could be swayed if I do go to a major. I want to go to 40 this year. That is my goal. But I think from a business perspective, we'll see if Tony Khan, because he's a big numbers guy, pay-per-view buys guy. So I'm sure if he could pad pad the lope and get a lot of money from a big stadium show, he might be willing to do that. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting. I think the Wrigley Field idea is
That's a great idea.
Pretty
Yeah.
creative with how crazy those fans are in Chicago about AEW.
Like what you said, Austin, about him being him crunching numbers, being that analytical mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's with him having access to a stadium right there. Literally, you could stand in Daly's place and throw a rock onto the field at Jaguars Stadium. With him having that access and him being a numbers guy, there's got to be something keeping him from doing that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a fear of like, we're not there yet.
And
we're
I
not
think
ready.
I think it's because it's like you said, Jacksonville. Like you'd have to get the other, like just to make it worthwhile to constantly keep people busy. Because yes, it's in a good weather location, but it is Jacksonville. There's not a ton to do there, so you'd have to get other promotions on board for sure. Because I looked too, like even the pro of having it there though. I looked at like what WWE paid. I think they paid $3.5 million per night. So that's a $7 million price tag. So that's something if you're AEW. I don't know if you can do it for. I don't know how Shad is with all that, but I mean, if it is something where you can,
they're getting a discount.
Yeah, and granted, that's in a premium location in LA, so it wouldn't be as much in Jacksonville. But I think you have to make it like get the GCWs, Impacts, like all those down there, and just kind of make it a celebration of wrestling for sure.
And Jacksonville Stadium, TIAA Bankfield Arena or Bank Stadium, the capacity is 67,838.
Yeah.
So that would be tripling what they've done.
Yeah.
They've done I think they did 21, 22 at Arthur Ashe, right?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. Depending on how they set up the arena, like it definitely would be in that triple range.
So
and Wrigley's actually 41,000 plus you add all the seats on the field, so it's actually would be bigger.
Do a stadium like that next, just to test. Okay, it's like you don't want to run before you walk, because it's like you've done 20, prove you can do 40. And then I'll have a little more faith in like taking the dive into a massive stadium, because I think we take for granted what WWE does. I mean, the fact that they pull off these shows on this epic level, regardless of what you think of the on-screen product, they have a machine, man. They run into these towns and they flip these stadiums out and turn them into just like an absolute spectacle. And I think that shit's not easy. They make it look easy, but it's not easy.
161,000 people in 2 days is absurd. So,
and when you're in there a week before building your set,
getting the lights right, making sure the sound's right, all the pyro, all the bells and whistles of that show. It's impressive.
Yeah.
Not to mention,
go ahead, Tom.
Opening up that superstore that week, they have so many things going on. It's They probably start planning now for next year's already. So
crazy. For sure. For sure.
All that for Shane McMahon to blow his quad in 2 seconds.
Oh, I can't.
Like father, like son, baby. I loved it.
The football player in me cringes every time I watch that, because he like almost tears his ACL when he tries to get back up too. I'm like,
I know.
Stay down.
It was rough, man.
It was brutal.
Hey, I will say though, man, I got a lot more respect for Snoop now.
I was gonna say kudos to Snoop Dogg to
he saved that.
Who's not a wrestler, to be on his feet that fast and to help save the segment.
Yeah, because you know why? Because when they showed Miz looked like he was a deer in headlights for a second.
Yeah, no, he was just shuffling around the ring. He was like, oh shit.
Yeah, he didn't know what he was like, oh fuck, oh what do we do?
I saw a fan filmed video of the cameraman across the ring who had the camera and was telling Snoop, hit Miz.
That's cool.
And then Snoop came in and did it. Yeah. Because Snoop didn't have an earpiece.
And he did that awesome people's elbow.
I honestly think that might be the last time we see Shane in the ring, because if you notice when he was talking on the mic before it got physical, he was choking up a little bit. Yeah. I think that was him being like, hey, this company's about to sell. Go have your Mania moment, because we don't know what's I feel like he was a little more emotional than I expected him to be in his mic work.
Yeah. And Snoop proved that he could take down Roman at 40. So Book it now. Give me the
I
pen.
wish Snoop did the frog splash like he did in AEW.
I know, the worst frog splash of all time.
It'd be real easy to put a 2 between the 4 and 0 to make it Mania 420. So just say it. All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on?
Nope.
All right, so we'll move on to our final topic of the evening. WWE Cell. Are we for it or against it? God damn.
Man, I was all for it until Vince took over on Monday night again. Holy shit. And now hopefully these investigations coming out about the sale. Let's get him out of here again. Let's let him get in some hot water like his buddy Trump. Let's get this guy just like
he's not getting out of there, man.
I thought we were free of this guy. He's freaking.
No, he's back, baby. He's back. You can't kill this motherfucker. Look at him. You can't kill him.
Cockroach. He's
just play Eric Bischoff's team.
Yeah.
Cockroach. God, man. I know. I was excited because I was thinking, okay, maybe we get a streaming service away from the Peacock again, get the WWE network back, maybe combined with UFC, and that's better. Maybe the rest of WWE treated more like a sport than the entertainment thing. Since
do you really want that though?
Yes, a little more. I want to be able to see blood in my wrestling.
I feel like WWE needs to be what WWE is.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten better, but I want to see a little blood in my wrestling.
I mean, it can be better, but like, they're not going to go full blown sports product. Like, they're buying. Endeavor is buying the product that they have portrayed. I don't think we're going to see a lot of like on-screen major changes in the way WWE is presented. I think it's going to be business as usual on the camera.
And like Austin said earlier at the other topic, Triple H has done a good job at raising the mid-card titles. Both the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title mean stuff now. So he has already brought back make it a little more wrestling orientated, which has been a lot better. But I was hoping to see what they would do, if anything. But now Vince is going to be back in creative control and doing shit, man. I'm out. I hated WWE at the end of Vince's before he left. I wasn't even watching every week anymore. I've been back watching the last 6 months now. Much more watchable. This shit on Monday night, it was all over the place. It was terrible. It was no continuing story throughout the night. I mean, I guess Cody Brock, you could say him coming out and then at the end, but
I didn't mind that. You know what I thought was shocking, and what I didn't mind the Cody Brock shit.
I like that.
But the thing that was the most, all right, everybody, Vince is definitely back. They had 2 minutes of wrestling in the first hour.
Yeah.
2 minutes in the entire first hour. And you're telling me you don't think Vince is somehow involved again? Like, you're insane.
Listen,
like, come
Triple
on.
H coming out and saying nothing's changed. I think
it's because everything's going to change. You only say that when shit's about to
nothing's
change.
Changed meant Vince is back, guys. It's going back to the same old WWE that you were used to. Nothing's changed. I'm sorry. It's back to crap.
I do think that speech is saying like some truth of like what I take from that is we're going to be here. We're going to keep doing what we do. Nothing you see on screen, especially that's for the casuals. Nothing you see on your Monday nights at 8 is going to change. We'll be here. But the hardcores who nitpick and tear apart the booking, we're going to see major changes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that they've built in the past, whatever time Triple H has taken over, that everything is changing. It makes you go back to when they said that they were, we're listening to the fans.
And they didn't do jack shit.
They didn't listen to shit. So I think we're back to that point. So, if it means that Vince is back, totally against it.
I'm 1,000% against it. One, because the booking, like I got out of WWE, which I've been a WWE lifer forever. I'm Team AEW now because it's way better week to week, way better. But I mean, it's just terrible. It's unbearable to sit through that. It's just good like background stuff if you're working. Like you can't actually sit down and watch a Monday Night Raw for 3 hours. There's no way with Vince in charge. And Triple H started to turn the corner. Like I truly enjoyed, like granted, even still watching 3 hours with Trips booking it, still, I mean, it's kind of tough to do, but it was way more bearable. The stories made sense. And now you see people last minute getting changed, like Seth Rollins throwing the mic and stuff like that. That's just It's like, what did we do the past 6 months with Triple H in charge? So I'm completely against it. And I love having my pay-per-views for $5 a month on Peacock, but who knows what the pay-per-view model is going to go like. I don't want to pay the UFC. That's part of the reason why I'm not a fan, I don't think, is because UFC is good and all, but you pay an $80 price point and you're not guaranteed like a show with good storytelling. It's just dudes beating the shit out of each other, so which is cool, but I mean, we'll see what the pay-per-view model looks like, and then the LED boards with the Cinnamon Toast Crunch is going to be on steroids now. With all this stuff.
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing. If it goes back to a 50 minimum $40-$50 price tag, upwards of 70-80, I will never watch another WWE pay-per-view.
I'm with you. I will never, ever, ever buy a WWE pay-per-view for $50 or above. I will not.
You can't give me every pay-per-view for $5-$10 a month and get everything and then take that away and say, oh, yeah, fuck, man, it's 70 now. Fuck,
they had 13 pay-per-views in 2022. Are you willing to shell out $50+ a month for that shit?
$650 a year. No, thank you.
Listen, no way.
I always said the best way to follow WWE when Vince was in charge is just watch the monthly pay-per-views on Peacock. It's at least wrestling. You get to enjoy it. If you're telling me I have to pay money for that now, that much money for it, no way. No chance in hell, Vince. I'll take a line out of your book. No chance in hell am I doing that again.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think people are thinking this is going to, they're going to bring the pay-per-view in. They have the deal with Peacock through 2026. Mm-hmm. So it's, they could do some sort of joint thing, when Endeavor picked them up and they went the whole ESPN Plus route with UFC and they started offering their pay-per-views through ESPN Plus. Like, there was a lot of moving and shaking because UFC also has Fight Pass. There's a lot of moving parts to that. So I'm not saying they couldn't spring a pay-per-view model with Peacock and, make Peacock where Peacock gets a cut of that. That's what we got to worry about. Yeah, they have the deal with Peacock, but if this pay-per-view deal is like, hey, we're going to offer a pay-per-view service through Peacock and you're going to get a cut of this, that could happen before 2026. I'll say this. I am 100% for this sell because we talk on a podcast and this is fucking primo drama, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready to see how this plays out for better or for worse.
Yeah.
I think in the long term, this is a genius situation for WWE. I think Ari Emanuel and Endeavor have proven themselves to really take care of what the things they buy. They know what they're buying. They don't want to come in and reinvent the wheel. They want to just get it out there more, get it seen more, make more money. That's the downside of it. Ari Emanuel is a money-making machine. He's going to find every which way to squeeze us for every dollar he can. But in the short term, I think it's going to be, in the short term, I'm against it because Vince being around, but in the long term, Vince ain't going to be around that much longer. Like, let's be honest.
I hope
the guy's not a fucking cyborg. He's pushing 80. He's going to hang it up.
Look at this fucking picture of this guy. Like,
facelift.
Look at this crazy asshole, man.
He's a lunatic.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening to the audio version of this, go on YouTube and look at the graphic that Chad's put up here. Look at this crazy.
You've seen the picture. It's the picture of pencil mustache Vince from the CNBC interview with Ari Emanuel. He looks crazy as shit. He looks like the villain from Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, this guy. Can you imagine Vince? Here's what I think about when I think of this crazy 77-year-old man. I'm thinking of him going into the Botox doctor's office. I'm thinking of him sitting in there with his doctor, getting these cosmetic enhancement things done to him. Like, what's that interaction like? Is the doctor just looking at this guy like, man, this guy's a fucking maniac?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Chad, I have a question. So Endeavor owns 51%, or they will own 51%. Do they have the power to remove Vince McMahon from creative and not having him touch what they don't want him to touch there?
Well, I'm sure they have the Endeavor is going to be the parent company of a smaller subsidiary which owns UFC and because UFC and WWE are essentially joining under one little company that will be under the Endeavor umbrella. So if they own the majority stake, I'm sure there's things that they can do to oust Vince, but at the same time, Vince probably has protective measures in his contract where if for whatever reason he would be removed, they talked about it in the interview where if Vince is removed, there's one, a massive payout, and two, he gets all the rights to his intellectual IP. So he is WWE. If he gets removed, he owns his IP, which means they could get rid of him and they could continue doing WWE, but everything they do, he will get profit from. This guy's set up. He set this up to protect himself. And if you know Endeavor and Ari and the way they handle Dana White, they get behind their figurehead. They're like Dana White has had a very, very controversial career in the 7 years since Ari bought it with Endeavor. And I mean, the guy gets caught smacking his wife and nothing was said about it. Like, say what you want about the situation. We don't know the details, but just the optics of it looked very bad. And any other company, if that was Roger Goodell, David Stern, or any type of person like that, they would have had to step down. They would have had to issue at least a public apology on a massive level. Dana didn't really do any of that. It was business as usual. He never got suspended. Ball kept rolling. So for all those people wanting Vince to be taken down, Ari is going to protect Vince and stand behind him because he's his cash cow.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is if they take Vince out, then we're going to have a modern day Huckster and Nacho Man.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like Vince set himself up well with this deal.
Oh, he did.
No matter what happens, he's a winner. No matter what. Even if they get rid of him, he still wins.
That's why he came back. This was the final diamond in his crown of his legacy crown, man. This was like the front diamond right there. This is like the thing he can hang his hat on as he made one of the best deals ever. I mean, $9.3 billion. He wanted $9 billion for it. He got a little over that. And then you throw it with UFC, which is priced at over 12. Now you've got a company that's going to be trading on the stock market for $21 billion of value. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, the sell part doesn't really matter. My thing at the end of the day comes down to creative because I'm a fan. That selfishly,
Same.
It's like with Vince in charge, it's the booking's going to suck and it's going to be miserable. Whereas Triple H was pulling me back in, so I'm just for it in regards to it's good for the WWE. But other than that, from a creative standpoint, if my mustache man to the left of me is in charge, then it's going to be shit. So.
I got a question for you guys. Vince was quoted in the CNBC interview as saying, they asked him point blank, are you going to be involved in creative? And he said, only the big story, only the big matches, big stories. I won't be in the weeds like I was before. I used to love getting in the weeds. I won't be in the weeds. Do you believe he's not going to be in the weeds?
No.
Didn't look like it on Monday.
There were rewrites all Monday night.
Did you see the clip of Seth?
No.
So there's a clip. Seth Rollins, when he came down to the ring to have his celebration or whatever, in the commercial break, while he's standing there, producers were handing him new script notes right before he was about to do his segment. And that's why his segment was just him singing along with the crowd, and then he left. Nothing happened. There could have been something there, and they changed it on a whim like that. Literally minutes before the segment, they changed it. It's crazy.
He didn't want to ask for his release. If that happened to him live on Monday Night Raw, I wouldn't be shocked.
I hope and pray to God, because me and Sneed, when we were watching Mania, we were just saying, if you could have one talent from WWE, like what's the one talent that would be the biggest dagger from AEW to WWE? Give me Seth Rollins, man. Give me Seth Rollins.
He's hands down.
I'd love to see Seth Rollins WWE.
Tyler Black in AEW? Come on.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't believe the whole weeds thing because he damage control and Bailey. He took Bailey off last minute. That's not a main event storyline. So what do you consider the weeds? Like,
Right.
I think he's completely like he's going to be in Gorilla probably and have that final say. And that's
Is Elias the weeds?
yeah.
No, I think I think we confuse. I think he's saying he's not going to smoke weed with Matt Riddle. I think that's what it is.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's
I
what it
think
was.
he's going to be in the weeds. He's just not going to be in weed with Riddle. That's what it is.
I
Did
think
you guys see the Bailey tweet?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
What? So Bailey tweeted, sometimes the longest romances end, and then she put bye, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. What do you guys think that's just her saying this Mania story's coming to an end, Damage Control's coming to an end, or do you think there's something bigger at play? Because we do know she's best friends with Sasha Banks, and up until like a week or two ago, she was giving interviews where it's like, Sasha needs to come back. This is her home. I'll wait for Sasha to come back. And then she puts a tweet out like that. So what do you guys think that tweet's about?
She's
She
pissed
wants to go be with Sasha. She wants to go be with Mercedes.
because Mercedes tweeted or put on her Instagram story a picture of Bailey. So they're in cahoots talking to each other. So
God,
Well, she's seeing all the freedom, and she's seeing how Mercedes is living a fun existence in the wrestling world, and she's not.
yeah, Naomi's about to do some shit with ROH, everybody thinks.
yeah.
In the front row.
That's my favorite women's wrestler is Bailey. So Bailey just working outside of the WWE system is so intriguing to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
We get Pammy.
I love Bailey, man.
I do. She is very underrated. She is so good at everything she does.
I think she's behind a lot of these younger women coming up too. I mean, she works with a lot of these women. I think she's an unsung hero of the Four Horsewomen to me.
Yeah. So I agree.
All right, guys. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up for the evening?
Get rid of Vince.
Shave the stash, Vince. Come on.
And it's not even the stash, man. What is the stash? Don't get me wrong. Everybody knows that's real shit. Look at it.
Eyebrows.
It's the eyebrows,
He
man.
fucking dyed his eyebrows, man.
That makes you look crazy as fuck. Wow. Relax, man.
The real question I think we'll all be waiting for is come Friday, is Vince going to be sitting in Gorilla for SmackDown?
You
If
know
you
it.
Of course he will.
It's done. Stick a fork in WWE. I'm out.
I love hearing all the optimistic WWE marks out there. Like, it's not that bad, guys. Quit overreacting. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
I don't know, dude.
all right.
It's that bad.
I agree.
I think his booking is going to reflect, like, you know how they say your outward, the way you look kind of reflects how you feel on the inside. When you look like shit, you feel like shit. This dude looks like shit, man. He looks crazy as hell. I think we're about to see some crazy times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll end it with a t-shirt that you can get on the Turnbuckle Tavern Pro Wrestling Tees. Go be a papa, Vince. Go home, man.
Go home. You have grandkids, dude.
Fuck, stay away.
Play with your grandkids.
I don't know, man. Austin, man, it's been great having you back on. I know this. We'll have to have you on a lot sooner than we.
Hey, you were on what, about 4 or 5 weeks ago?
I honestly,
Fuck, I lose track, man.
It may have been one I missed. I'm not sure.
yeah.
I feel like I haven't talked to you for a while, but
Yeah. But no, I mean, with school and stuff, my summers clear up my schedule. So anytime you need help when I can do it on the wrap ups or debates or whatever, I'm a huge mark. So I feel like I'm on cloud nine when I'm talking to you guys, because this is my favorite group of podcasts. So
He
yeah.
made me listen to Tavern stuff the whole ride with him when I was down there last summer.
That's awesome. You know, that's what we are, for marks by marks, man. We love us some marks because we're marks ourselves.
yeah.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, Austin, tell everybody where they can find you.
All right, at Rest Central on Twitter. I mean, we just pretty much it's a fan account. We post memes. We just tweet. Love pro wrestling. So hopefully WWE will be bearable. And always, this is a routine for mine. Shout out to Tyson.
Tyson and Austin.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, guys, that is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are going to the turnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Tom, It's your time to shine, bud. Get your shit in.
The OG Fit Kid, Twitter and Instagram. Do not miss Fig Night every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Me and Mike Belcaster.
All right. Well, he's got that down to a science now.
Yeah, he
Cool.
does.
Court is dismissed.